Let's be real. Artificial intelligence isn't some far-off future concept. It's here, right now, and it's kicking off one of the biggest changes to the workforce we've ever seen. A brand new report from the research firm Elevate has mapped out exactly what this disruption could look like. So let's dive in and break down what they found, and more importantly, what it means for all of us.
Okay, so let's just rip the Band-Aid off. The big headline number from this study is pretty staggering. By 2030, almost 30% of all jobs across the entire globe could be automated by AI. Just let that sink in for a second. That's a huge transformation, and it's happening in less than a decade.
You know, a number like that naturally leads to a very personal question, one that probably popped into your head right away. Is my job on that list? Well, let's find out.
The Elevate study didn't just throw out a big number. It actually ranked jobs based on how vulnerable they are to AI. So now we're going to count down the top 10 roles that are facing the highest risk of automation over the next few years.
Coming in at number 1 with the highest risk of them all are data entry clerks. And you know, this one makes a lot of sense. The heart of this job is all about manual tasks, typing things in, checking data, organizing files. That is precisely what AI software is designed to do, except it can do it way faster and with way fewer mistakes.
And when you look at the data, it's a real double whammy. The study gives this role a 95% chance of being automated. But that's not even the whole story. It also projects a 25% decline in the number of these jobs by 2030. So it's not just that AI can do the job, it's that the job itself is literally disappearing.
All right, in the number 2 spot, telemarketers. For decades, this was a classic sales job, right? But now, AI chatbots and advanced language models are getting incredibly good at making calls, personalizing their sales pitch, and even handling the usual objections.
And we're seeing the exact same pattern here. The automation risk is a massive 94%, and that's on top of a projected job decline of over 21%. This really confirms the trend. Any job that's built on a script and high-volume communication is in a very, very vulnerable position.
The third most at-risk job is one we see pretty much every single day: cashiers. With the explosion of self-service checkouts, paying with our phones, and of course the unstoppable force of e-commerce, the traditional role of a cashier is just becoming less and less essential.
And, yep, the data tells the story perfectly. A 93% automation risk combined with a projected drop of over 10% in the number of jobs. So while some retail jobs might stick around, the future for the traditional cashier is looking pretty bleak.
Now, rounding out the top 10, we see some familiar roles like receptionists and administrative assistants. But take a closer look, because this is where it gets really interesting. Proofreaders have an 85% risk, and even legal assistants, a role that feels pretty specialized, are at 88%. This just shows that AI's reach is going far beyond simple office work and into areas that require a lot more nuance.
So the big question is, why these jobs? What makes them so vulnerable? Well, the study actually goes a layer deeper and identifies the core reasons that put any job at risk.
It pretty much boils down to 3 main things. First is task repetition. If a job is all about following strict rules and doing the same actions over and over, AI will almost always be better at it. The second is market demand. If a role is already shrinking, automation just hits the fast-forward button on its decline. And finally, maybe the most important factor, a lack of human-centric skills. Jobs that don't really rely on empathy, complex strategy, or careful judgment are the most exposed.
It really all comes down to this. AI is an absolute beast at things that need speed, accuracy, and scale. But we humans still have a lock on things like genuine empathy, creative problem-solving, and high-level strategic thinking. And that right there, that's the new frontline in the world of work.
Okay, so that's the challenge, and it might sound a little scary, but the report isn't just doom and gloom. It also offers a roadmap for how to adapt. So let's break down the solutions it offers for us as workers, for businesses, and for policymakers.
The CEO of Elevate, Elliot Mueller, puts it perfectly. He says the focus has to shift, and it has to shift urgently, to reskilling people and creating real pathways for them to move into roles where those uniquely human skills are the most important part of the job.
So what can you do as an individual? The study recommends 3 key things. First, invest in reskilling yourself, especially when it comes to digital skills and learning how to work with AI tools. Second, double down on those human-centric skills: creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence. And finally, stay flexible. Be ready to embrace these new hybrid roles where your job is to work alongside AI, not get replaced by it. Businesses, of course, have a massive responsibility here. The report urges them to adopt AI responsibly, to use it to make their employees even better, not just to slash the number of staff. This means offering training, helping people transition to new roles, and always remembering to balance that cold, hard efficiency with the human touch that customers still crave.
And finally, policymakers have got to step up. This means strengthening labor protections and building safety nets for workers who are displaced. It means fundamentally rethinking our education system to get the next generation ready for this new reality. And it means encouraging new industries where human creativity will always be the most valuable thing you can have.
So what does this all mean for the future of work? Well, the report makes one thing very clear. This isn't a job apocalypse, but it is a profound transformation. Ultimately, the most powerful and, I think, hopeful takeaway from the study is this. The future isn't about humans versus machines. It's about AI becoming a powerful partner, one that handles all the repetitive stuff, freeing us up to focus on what we really do best: innovate, connect, and lead.
Look, the question is no longer if AI will reshape our workforce. It's already doing it. The real challenge, the one this report leaves us with, is how all of us, as individuals, as companies, and as entire societies, are going to adapt to make sure this AI-driven future is one with opportunity, dignity, and security for everyone. The question is, how will we rise to it?